live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio 1 o'clock news. First, here are the headlines. The Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation has confirmed it signed the controversial dredging deal with the Egyptian government last year. The gender-based violence court in Juba has freed a young man of defilement charges, citing doubtful evidence and forgery of birth certificate by the complainant. And the Ministry of General Education and Instruction has suspended Mercy British International School over the allegation of sexual assault on a toddler by one of the staff. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with Mika Fukijada. Now the news in details. The Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation has confirmed it signed the controversial dredging deal with the Egyptian government last year. On Tuesday, the Office of President said the government has not approved the controversial initiative to dredge the Nile tributaries, including the acquisition of machinery from Egypt. The reaction was propelled by some experts and members of the public who criticized the importation of the equipment. Duru Penini reports on this.
Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation disclosed on Wednesday that the government signed a memorandum of understanding with Egypt in Cairo in July 2021. In a press statement, Gathik Gathquart Wichar pointed out that the government delegation to Egypt was headed by Vice President for Economic Cluster, Dr. James Waneiga. The statement partly reads, and I quote, "During the first session of the Joint High-Level Commission between Egypt and South Sudan led by His Excellency Dr. James Waneiga, Vice President for Economic Cluster to Egypt in July 2021, the Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation renewed and signed the MOU with the Egyptian Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation on the dredging of Bahr Ghazal River system and construction of 4 kafirs and an urgent resumption of the dredging of 30-kilometer stretch of Bahr Ghazal from Unity State Capital Bentiu to Lake No, which is currently blocked by aquatic weeds." End of quote. Gatquart said negotiations to clear aquatic weeds and deepen river flow from Bahr Ghazal Basin to Bentiu and Lake No begin in 2006. The MOU between South Sudan and Egypt was renewed last year following a visit to Cairo by a delegation led by VP Wani, says the associate of Minister Manawa Peter. The minister described dredging as a routine activity. Meanwhile, the Minister of Environment and Forestry on Wednesday distanced her ministry from the dredging deal. Josephine Napon told a press briefing in Juba, the River Nile dredging project is illegal and will not proceed until a proper environmental assessment is conducted. Napon also said the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation has not notified the Environment Minister over the initiative. The cooperation agreement between South Sudan and Egypt on the Nile dated back to a pre-colonial era when Egypt and the British on behalf of the downstream countries signed the 1929 Nile Water Agreement, which was renewed in 1959. The press release from the Ministry of Water Resources said, after the 2005 peace deal, both ministries established cooperation by signing a memorandum of understanding on behalf of Juba and Cairo in August 2006. The 2006 MOU sets out key areas of cooperation. They include capacity building of water cadres in Egyptian institutions, dredging and clearance of aquatic weeds in the Bahr Ghazal Basin, and construction of landing sites. It also calls for the provision of safe drinking water through the drilling of boreholes and monitoring solar systems. The deal says the Egyptian government should carry out a feasibility study for a multi-purpose dam in western Bahr Ghazal state. However, the statement says the activities were halted after the 2013 and 2016 conflicts. It says the construction of 2 landing sites in Kwajok and Wau was completed, as well as the borehole drilling is ongoing and the SHU feasibility study is being finalized. Minister Manawa's press secretary stated that 21 trucks loaded with equipment and tools arrived in Bentiu on the 1st June 2022 from Egypt via Sudan.
The gender-based violence court in Juba has freed a young man of defilement charges, citing doubtful evidence and forgery of birth certificate by the complainant. 22-year-old Emmanuel Lukapo James, a resident of Nyokuran working as a driver, was accused of defiling a teenage girl in June 2021. The complainant alleged Emmanuel eloped with the girl to Haimona, where they stayed together as husband and wife. Preliminary court findings indicated that the defendant confessed to having eloped with the survivor with the intention to marry her. However, the defendant told the court he later decided against marrying the girl when he found her having an affair with his uncle. The girl's parents then reduced the girl's age to 16 and opened a defilement case against Emmanuel, according to the court, but the girl told the court she was 18. Presiding Judge Francis Amum Awin dismissed the case, saying the complainant had insufficient evidence to prove the survivor was a minor at the time of the incident. Amum read out the verdict yesterday.
The issue is about the age, because the filement always is about the age. The evidence produced before us, they are not enough to prove that she is below 18. There is doubt. She herself, she concluded that she is 18. In that situation, we concluded the following. Final order. 1. Criminal case is dismissed. 2. Accused person is acquitted. 3. Prosecution is advised of the right to enjoy an automatic right of appeal against both dismissal of the case and acquittal of the accused person within 15 days. 4. Judgment delivered, sealed in an open court of law and dated today, the 8th of June 2022 by Judge Francis Amuma Wena Yoke, GBB Court, Juba.
Judge Amum reminded the side of the plaintiff on the right to appeal within 15 days. The Ministry of General Education and Instruction has suspended Mercy British International School over the allegation of sexual assault on a toddler by its staff. In a letter dated the 6th of June 2022, addressed to the school head teacher Robert Iwell, the Undersecretary in the General Education Ministry said the institution was shocked by the incident. Dr. Goyok Abul Goyok says that this is the reason he decided to suspend the school registration. The decision is also to allow a team from the ministry to investigate what he says the background of the staff. According to the Dr. Kayok, the outcome of the investigation will be shared with the British authorities. The Azande Kingdom in Yambio, Western Equatoria State, has today launched the registration exercise for its natives. The census is being conducted under the theme, "Let us know our population for development and support to the Azande Kingdom." The registration will commence manually at the local level. Meanwhile, those away from the kingdom and in diaspora will be registered electronically. Isaac Mangu is the press secretary in the Palace of the King. He told iRadio this morning that the initiative will enable the kingship to mobilize support for development projects within the kingdom. Isaac says despite lack of resources, members of the kingdom have accepted to volunteer to ensure the process is accomplished.
Today, the king, together with the community, the key elders of the community in Yambio, will be officially launching of the registration of the people within the kingdom and the Azande living outside the. So it is very important because it will be good for the development. When the kingdom is planning development for its people, it is good to know the number first. The second thing will be if the kingdom needed some support, who are the people to support and where are they living?
The great-grandson of King Budwe, Atorba Penny Gubdwe, was installed as the king's heir on Gubdwe Day in February this year. The Azande are a Bantu group, and their languages, like the other Bantu languages, approximately 5 dialects of Azande are spoken throughout the area they occupy. February 9th, Gabdu King is a cultural day. Buduek Day it's a cultural day agreed upon to be celebrated yearly by the Azande of South Sudan, inside and in diaspora, to remember, honor, and celebrate the life of King Budwe. The Ministry of Finance and World Bank have kick-started a $120 million project to enhance community resilience and local governance in Greater Upper Nile. The 5-year project, known as Enhancing Community Resilience and Local Governance Project, Phase 2, is funded by the World Bank. It is being implemented by the Ministry of Finance in partnership with Local Government Board, with support from the International Organization for Migration, or IOM. This is in a bid to improve access to basic infrastructure and strengthening community institutions and to enhance flood resilience. The cash is expected to benefit 920,000 people in 12 counties of the Upper Nile region. It also covers refugee host communities and flood-prone areas. Speaking to the media shortly after the project launched in Juba yesterday, the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning welcomed the support from the World Bank. Agag Achwil says the government will work towards success of the project and deliver service to the intended beneficiaries.
What we need as people of South Sudan is to work together with them as a team to deliver the services to our people. And we have to execute this project according to the guidelines given to us by the World Bank. And if we do that, then the services will be delivered to our people. This particular thing is not going to end in Juba or in 3 states alone, but it will continue. It may go to the other 10 states and 3 administrative areas. So when they start with 3 states, doesn't mean that they have already neglected the other part. But the other parts will be taken care of, and the government will also come in together and work with them so that they can complete this project and make it a success for our people.
For his part, the country's manager of World Bank, Fares Rad, said World Bank wants to see the project promoting community resilience in the targeted locations. Enhancing Community Resilience and Local Governance Project Phase 2 will strengthen the institutional capacity of local communities to deliver critical services such as access to clean water, healthcare, and education, and reduce flood risk. You are listening to iRadio News, and now to the international news brought to you by MTN. My colleague Riara Jack will join us.
Freedom is everyone's desire. Freedom is what makes you and me happy. Freedom is called Hurea in my country. My telecom network has chosen to give me freedom. MTN is my network. I have the freedom. I choose affordable and reliable. Hurea Bundles is my way. MTN introduces to you Hurea Bundles, giving you the freedom to call across all networks with the same bundles. Subscribe by dialing *100 *3 *4# and get 15 minutes for only 100 SSB and 30 minutes for 150 SSB, valid for 1 day. Hurea, pure freedom. MTN, everywhere you go.
Good afternoon, and now let's have a look at stories making headlines in the region and international scene. At least 40 people died in Sunday's attack in Olwe in Nigeria's Ondo State. Area Governor Olu Rotimi Akerodulo has said. Previously, the authorities had said 22 people died. In a statement, the governor said that 61 people were currently admitted in nearby hospital for treatment and 26 had been discharged. There were 127 people in the church when the attack happened. Elsewhere, Kenya's electoral agency says an ongoing audit of its voters' roll has found the names of nearly 250,000 deceased voters on the register. Nearly 500,000 more voters were found to have duplicate documents, and more than 226,000 people were registered using documents that do not belong to them. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission said in a statement others had registered with invalid documents on the anomalies that affect more than 1 million people. And finally, Nasun Jacqueline Garcia, the leader of the La Luz del Mundo mega church, has been sentenced in a Los Angeles court to 16 years and 8 months in prison. Garcia, 53, pleaded guilty last week to 3 counts of sexually abusing girls from his congregation. His plea deal means his sentence is considerably shorter than the life imprisonment he could have faced had he been found guilty in a trial. To his followers, Nasun Jacqueline Garcia is known as the Apostle. And those are the latest stories making headlines in the region and international scene. And back to you, my colleague in the studio, Kafuki Jada.
Thank you, Yara Jack. And now to the sports news, and my colleague right here, Emmanuel Akile, will be joining us.
In the African Cup of Nations qualifying, South Sudan will take on Mali this afternoon at St. Mary's Stadium, Kitende in Uganda. Walid Bakhid and Mohamed Abdurrahman scored for Sudan as they beat DR Congo 2-1, heaping more pressure onto the visitors after they lost at home to Gabon at the weekend. Algeria won away at Tanzania in their Africa Cup of Nations qualifier on Wednesday as they continue their rehabilitation after a miserable start to the year. But there was a second defeat for the Democratic Republic of Congo. Congo and Mozambique were the other winners in the latest round of qualifying matches for the 2023 finals in the Ivory Coast, while Mauritania and Niger picked up away points. Algeria made a poor defense of their Cup of Nations title in Cameroon this year and were dramatically beaten in the last minute of the March World Cup playoffs. They beat Uganda at home on Saturday, however, and traveled to Dar es Salaam to secure another 2-0 victory on Wednesday. Algeria are now well placed to secure early qualification as they sit on 6 points with Niger on 2 after holding Uganda to a 1-1 draw in Kampala on Wednesday. Uganda and Tanzania have 1 each. Elsewhere, Arsenal forward Alexander Lacazette has resigned for Lyon on a free transfer 5 years after leaving to join the Gunners for a then club scored 46.5 million euros. Lacazette returns to the French club on a 3-year deal until June 2025. The France forward scored 52 times in 158 Premier League appearances for Arsenal and helped the Gunners with the 2020 FA Cup final. In April, he said he had never cut contact with hometown club Lyon. And finally, Jaylen Brown scored 17 of his 27 points in the first quarter as his Boston Celtics side beat the Golden State Warriors 116-100 points to take the lead in the NBA Finals. The Celtics bounced back from Game 2 defeat with Jason Tatum contributing 26 points and Marcus Smart adding 24. The 17-time NBA champions take a 2-1 lead into Game 4 of the best-of-7 series in Boston on Friday. The Warriors' Stephen Curry scored a game-high 31 points, including 6 three-pointers, but was replaced in the fourth quarter after appearing to injure his left leg. That's all from the world of sports, and back to you, Kafuki Jada.
Thank you, Akile. And you are listening to our radio news. To end this bulletin, here are the headlines again. The Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation has confirmed it signed the controversial dredging deal with the Egyptian government last year. The gender-based violence court in Juba has freed a young man of defilement charges, citing doubtful evidence and forgery of a birth certificate by the complainant. And the Ministry of General Education and Instruction has suspended Mercy British International School over the allegation of sexual assault on a toddler by its staff. That's the end of iRadio Afternoon News. You can get these stories and updates by subscribing to iRadio News Alerts on your MTN South Sudan number. Call 700 or dial star 700 hash and follow the instruction. If there's a story or any event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 and 987 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on Twitter at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 1/2 past the hour. I am Kafuki Jada, and on behalf of the news team, thank you for listening.